takes Ritter to the end zone, looking for Pierce. Did he hang on? Yes. Touchdown. The back as I've been around. Here he goes again. Busts free. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Foot race. House call. Touchdown. 79 yards. Big one in the Beach Bowl. This is a big one too. And it's going to go all the way to the house on the first play from scrimmage.
Bearcat Blitz on the Believe Network, taking you into the weekend here as we get into the month of April across Bearcats athletics land. A lot of good stuff happening this month, including the NFL draft and basketball transfer portal season. We'll be touching on all of that across today's show, plus a little bit of an update on the Bearcats defensive install for the football team as they kind of work through the back half of spring football now, ahead of the spring showcase on April 18th, free to the public at noon there at Nippert Stadium. Touching on that to start the show today, and then we will get to a prediction from CBS Sports that has the Bearcats going under 5.5 wins. That would be a catastrophe if they go from 7-5 to 5-7 or worse. And reports from rivals Pete Nakos that UC is one of the teams in the college basketball world that will have a $10+ million budget. One of the few teams with a budget that high, as anticipation for the first season of Jared Calhoun and his tenure keeps on building. All that coming up on Bearcat Blitz, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can bet on the national championship for college football coming up this season. Some great odds on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Top odds belong to Ohio State at +550 to lift the crown in the second year of Julian Sayin starting at quarterback, and then Notre Dame, second best odds at 7-1, Texas at 8-1. You got Indiana at 8-1, Oregon at 8-1, and those are your only 5 teams on the FanDuel Sportsbook with odds lower than 10-1 to win the college football playoff next January. Head to FanDuel Sportsbook today to bet on the national championship or all kinds of sports with one of the top sports books in America. Bearcat Blitz coming up after these messages. Neil Meyer of the frontofficenews.com joining me, Russ Heltman from Cincinnati Bearcats on SI. Cincinnati is working through their spring football stretch. Neil had another practice on Thursday. We'll be there for another one on Saturday as well. And the install of the defense is the big storyline early on in camp. They have kind of worked through, 7 practices now, basically 8 practices down with 15 total practices on the board, so a little bit past halfway here. We got an update at the halfway point from defensive coordinator Nate Woody. Neil, everything going well so far. He said the spring has been outstanding for this group and taking hold of this defense very well. But there's still some stuff to work on. And quote here from Woody from yesterday's media session: we've thrown an awful lot of things from alignments and assignments at those guys, and they're eating it up. Are they going to be perfect at it right now? Heck no. Are they giving us effort? You better believe it. And so as long as we can continue to put in the effort, we still have enough practices where we can polish up some things. We know these guys' intent. In our meetings, they come out to practice and they want to do well. We just got to coach them up a little better on a few things. I would echo that, Neil. From my eyes and from seeing the past few practices, the defense is getting better and better, and they've won the week so far in the Tuesday and Thursday sessions.
Yeah, and that's a positive thing to hear, Russ, too, because obviously I have not been able to make practices due to some prior obligations there within my work and coaching schedule. So wish I could be out there and watching these guys get after it. But the biggest thing too, Russ, is when I watch the interviews with Nate Woody and whatnot, the biggest thing to take away is there's going to be a lot of moving pieces, and that's exciting for me, right? Because if you look at what Cincinnati
set positions for guys this fall,
and that's the versatility of what this 3-4 defense will bring you, and that's the biggest thing to take away. Because Russ, imagine if Cincinnati played this style defense last year with Jake Golday. and I was talking to his agent about it at Pro Day, and we were sitting there. We were getting chills talking about it. And I was sitting there. I was like, man, imagine if we would have ran that 3-4 that they planned to run because we were talking about this year's defense. And we're like, we're going to. I was telling him we're going to the 3-4, and he was like, man. I wonder how that would play out. And I'd be like, man, I could tell you right now, if Jake Golday was one of those linebackers that they were throwing at that dog position, man, they would let him go eat. So it's going to be fun to see. Now, I am really intrigued to see what that dog position might look like, or some of those guys they're going to bring off the edge there.
Antoine
And
Peak,
Russ,
one of those guys, Neil. Antoine Peak has been getting a lot more coaching from his pops because his pops played that dog position throughout his career.
and
And I was talking to Antoine yesterday. Just we were both all smiles. Just the fact that his dad gets to coach him in a new position in the bridge year between being an All Big 12 player and going to the NFL. One final redshirt season campaign, and another way for Antoine Peak to show his cross positional versatility by moving closer to the line of scrimmage in that dog position.
yeah, absolutely, Russ. And when you think about that position, I would not want to see Antoine Peak coming downhill 1-on-1
Yeah,
from
we
that
know what he
position.
can
I
do to the
just would.
football. We know what he can do to the football. Mr. Force
Yeah,
Fumble.
and I would not. I'm getting like I'm sitting here smiling thinking about it because in my head I'm just visioning Antoine going downfield 20 miles an hour, 22 miles an hour, and just heat-seeking missile torpedoing somebody. That'd be pretty funny. But overall, big hit caliber, use him to your advantage, right? That's what Cincinnati plans to do there. He's getting a lot of opportunities, it sounds like there, which I'm very happy there too. But Russ, shout out first off, we got to give a shout out to Pops, Antoine Peak Sr. I mean, he's been at just about what every spring practice
He's been
this
there a
year.
lot. He was prominently featured on Tuesday. I mean, like on the sideline, kind of as another coach, it kind of felt like almost like you legitimately coaching Antoine in practice and then heavily coaching him after practice in terms of what he should be doing as he gets closer to the line of scrimmage here.
Yeah, and the two practices I were able to attend, he was doing the exact same thing. So it's good to see that they welcome him back there for one. That's always a positive. Antoine's a legend here. Everybody knows that. But two, it's just when you get the opportunity to be coached by Pops, like especially at this level, and to have him around at all your college practices and whatnot, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Really cool to see. But Russ, I think the biggest thing too, we talk about moving these guys, linebackers to the dog position. What's really unique is I believe it was you who asked this in the press conference about some of those guys. How do you replace Dante Corleone,
Yeah.
right? Josh Hutt is another one of those guys. Josh Hugh, one of those guys you can put in the middle, guy who started his career as a running back, but is a big force at that nose tackle position now. And then he also mentioned, hey, we're moving D tackles out wide. We're moving D ends out there. We're moving around a lot of pieces. That's pretty exciting to hear because Cincinnati they didn't do much moving pieces last year. You had your ends and you had your nose tackle there in the 3-3-5. You had your occasional blitzes, but that was just about it. So to hear that there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of versatility within this defense, that could play really well to Cincinnati's favor here heading into the 2026 season.
Yeah, Neil, for a program that, let's just be honest, like they're capped financial resources wise. They're not going to be
Mhm.
fielding $40 million LSU Tiger rosters moving forward at any time soon in the Big 12. So you have to turn over every stone. You have to get creative as a
You
coach.
have to go find these diamond in the rough
Right. You have to make
kind of
sure that
guys.
these guys are not better at a different position just because you didn't give them access to that position and you don't know that they could shine there and give you the ability to put an even better best 11 on the field. And I think they're doing the same thing on offense. You know, when I was talking to Evis Tengestal even earlier this week or last week, All-American, third team All-American guard in the AP last year. I mean, he's playing left guard, he's playing right guard, he's playing center. Like they're moving these guys all the way around, and it's great for the players too. Like the players, I think, embrace this because they know, especially these top end guys like Tangastal, like Antoine Peak Jr., the more reps that you can show that you can play in the box, in the free safety position, at the line of scrimmage for a guy like Antoine Peak, the more reps you can show playing center, playing left guard, playing right guard, maybe flashing out to tackle in an emergency, that just makes you more and more versatile, and it makes your draft profile elevate even higher. So I think it's a win-win all the way around for these kind of strategies. And so far, so good for the UC football defense. Neil, no major injuries that I can see right now. I mean, we got Joe Cotton working to the side. Hopefully, see him work back
And
ahead of the spring search
he's still
showcase.
recovering from the shoulder injury, that for people wondering,
Right,
that
right.
was after the year, but he should be full go
By
by
camp
start
at
of season,
least. Yeah.
by fall camp as well.
Yeah, so they're flashing a lot of guys around. Judea Milan getting a lot of extra reps with
And
Cotton
Judea
now.
has been a guy too
I
that
think
people
Judea
kind
might
of
end up
forget
being a
about.
starter, and
And
when it's all said and
people
done.
forget too, like he was a guy who came from a smaller a smaller school, FCS, if I remember right, and then he came up. He's been a guy that Scott Satterfield has thrown into the fire in the last year and a half. So for him, Judea's big thing is just stay healthy, right? If he can stay
Yeah,
healthy, he could arguably find his way into that rotation. And we saw last year, DeAndre Buford struggled at times. Judea went in. Ethan Green went in. But if Judea can stay healthy, Russ, I think there's a legit shot. He might be able to crack this depth chart and make some snaps there.
yeah, former JUCO star and missed the 2024 season due to injury, but played in all 12 games last year, so was able to stay healthy there and only missed the Baylor contest. And he's a funny guy too. I like Judea Milan. He brings the fun antics to the field, that's for sure. Take a quick break here and then get to some of the kind of news and notes in terms of CBS Sports' prediction on the Bearcats to go under 5.5 wins and the report on UC's NIL budget for the basketball team as portal season gets ready to fire out of the gates on April 7th. All that coming up on Bearcat Blitz, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can bet on the Bearcats to go over their win total right now in terms of Big 12 teams, Cincinnati at -122 to go over 5.5 wins on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Even money odds for them to go under 5.5 wins if you are not believing in year 4 of Scott Satterfield. We'll discuss that number in full depth coming up on the back half of Bearcat Blitz, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Weekend edition of Bearcat Blitz continues here on the Believe Network. I'm your host, Russ Hellman of Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, and Neil Meyer, my co-host from the frontofficenews.com. Joining me as usual as we discuss the win total. Neil, just discussed at the end of the last segment, UC sitting at -122, favored to go over their 5.5 game win total on the FanDuel Sportsbook. But CBS Sports' Shahan Jurea does not believe in the Bearcats. He has Cincinnati finishing 5-7 overall, and really one of those wins being a FCS team. He only has them, Neil, winning 4 FBS games this coming season. I mean, anything less than another bowl appearance would be an abject catastrophe for the Bearcats. He has the wins coming against Boston College, Western Carolina, Miami of Ohio, Kansas State, and Colorado. If they can't find a way to get one more win mixed in there, Neil, it very well could be the end of the Scott Satterfield era, given the fact that they could do the same thing that they just did with Wes Miller. Yes, the buyout looks pretty prohibitive right now, but Scott Satterfield is a guy that I would imagine isn't just going to retire if he has a bad season this fall and ends up getting shown the door. He's going to want to keep coaching, and if he coaches at a level like the AAC, like Wes Miller just went to, then that buyout will basically not entirely get canceled out, but I believe only a couple million will be what Cincinnati is owing Scott Satterfield. So fingers crossed that is not the case, that this does not play out like that, Neil, but it's a put up or shut up season, in my opinion, for Scott Satterfield. He has to at least get back to another bowl.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you too, Russ, because when you look down, obviously year 4 for Scott Satterfield here at
Right.
Cincinnati,
I mean, everybody in the staff would agree with this. Like year 4, if you're not getting to a bowl, like that's a complete catastrophe.
yeah. And when you look down year 4, hey, most coaches right now, Russ, I mean, we're seeing coaches get maybe 3 to 4 years per per deal if they don't get the job done. So I know last year was a great step in the right direction. You get to the bowl game, but they left a lot of opportunities out there on the table. So when you look
Right.
back at this
Right. Neil,
year,
like what? One November win so far in the
one
entire
November
tenure?
win. hmm
Yeah.
And when you look down heading into this season, Cincinnati is going to have to find their way to somehow get to 6-6, right? To get bowl eligible. Now, I don't really know if I agree with the under 5 wins for Cincinnati in this instinct, just because of the non-conference schedule and whatnot. But Russ, it's safe to say that Cincinnati plays its best ball up until the month of October, roughly. And when you look down, yes, they do have some tough matchups on this slate to kick off Big 12 play, but when you look down, Kansas State is one of those teams you aren't really sure what you're gonna expect there. Same with Arizona, despite Arizona being a top 25 team at one point last year. West Virginia as well. Nobody really knows what to expect with Iowa State right now because of the coaching change. Colorado as well. So there's plenty of opportunities here, Russ. But for me, I would, if I'm putting a betting man right now, I would have to linger on Cincinnati hitting that over mark
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
five
So
and a
you can see
half. I
what,
mean, if they can't
yeah.
beat 5 FBS teams, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here?
And when you look down
Two of those
too,
being a low-level AACC team in Boston College and a top higher tier MAC team in
I was about
Miami,
to
but
say
you got to beat Miami.
if there was going to be a game that would be somewhat close in that non-conference slate, it's going to be Miami. And that's the rivalry, that's the history. There's a lot more at stake with
And
that
they
one.
are the
So,
top projected team on S&P Plus, number 82 overall, the highest ranked MAC team for what it's worth from Bill Connolly of ESPN.
and Miami's going to be probably the best team in the MAC. When you look down, sounds like they're getting a little bit ahead of the game for MAC in terms of NIL for the MAC schools and the MAC football program. So sounds like they got some things going in the works up there in the NIL aspect that will kind of help them play beneficiary to them. But Russ, when you look down, I mean, Kansas State, like I said earlier, I think that could be a winnable game. West Virginia could be a winnable game, especially with the new coach, a big roster turnover. Utah as well. Never know what to really expect there with a coaching change. I mean, Russ, when you look down at the schedule right now, I mean, Iowa State coaching change, Utah coaching change, West Virginia coaching change, Kansas State, I believe, also had a coaching change. No, Kansas State did not have a coaching change. Their coach, Colin Klein, came back. So you have 3 coaching changes on that schedule. So there's 3 teams you don't really know what to really expect as of right now, but you'll get a better temperature of what to that might be in late August, early September. But Russ, right now, I think Cincinnati can get the job done at 6-6, at least.
I mean, let's just look at the top 50 on S&P Plus. They play number 7 Texas Tech, and then you got to go down to number 25 Utah, number 29 Kansas State, number 30 Arizona, number 38 Oklahoma State, which I don't believe they play this year. Yeah, they don't play
They don't
Oklahoma
play
State.
Oklahoma State.
I mean, Colorado is way down there. They should be able to beat them. Colorado is one of the poor teams in the conference, 65th overall. I mean, Neil, there's only like one, there's probably only one top 25 bona fide team as of right now in the Big 12, and that's Texas Tech with Brendan Sorsby. Other than that, Utah is
I
going to
think
get
you
the
got
benefit of the doubt.
BYU. BYU will be lingering outside the top 25, but
Yeah,
I'm there
BYU as
with
well.
you.
I forgot. Yeah, I missed BYU at number 18 on the SP Plus. So like 2 legit top 25 teams that you do have to play this season. I don't think they're going to beat Texas Tech at home, and I don't think they're going to go to Provo and beat BYU. So those are 2 losses. But every other game to me is a toss up.
It's
And it's
winnable.
going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to execution in those final moments. And it's going to come down to whether or not Cincinnati can clean up these November issues to ultimately, I think, hit this win total. And on a schedule that is a little tougher than last year for sure. But I'm with you, Neil. Like, I'm probably going to end up picking at least 6-6, maybe 7-5. But there would have to be a major injury for me to pick 5-7 or worse, given just like the Big 12 is not some high powered conference in terms of football. There's winnable games all throughout this schedule, and Cincinnati's going to be right in the mix here, sitting at number 50 overall on S&P Plus. They're going to be within 15 to 18 ranking spots on the preseason rankings for almost every single opponent here outside of Utah, BYU, and Texas Tech. Those are going to be 3 really hard games to win, but the other ones should be toss-ups, if not clear Cincinnati victories. Speaking of clear victories for Cincinnati, monetarily, Neil, it's been a nice collecting offseason and a seemingly very nice onboarding into the Jared Calhoun tenure, with Pete Nakos of Rivals.com reporting that Cincinnati is one of the schools with a $10+ million NIL budget. And to tie a bow on the last topic we were talking about with Scott Satterfield and this kind of being a make or break season, buyout coming off of this season, if they were to move on from Satterfield, is $5.53 million. This is a great breakdown from Kodiki over on X. That's Codiki. Got to give him a shout out for putting in the work and doing a great visual here. If he becomes a new Power 4 coordinator, right around an average of $1.5 million annual salary, that's for a Power 4 coordinator, UC's payout would drop basically in half to $2.5 million. And if he becomes a head coach in the AAC, which has an estimated average salary of about $2 million, their total payout, because of the offset language, would drop to just $1.5 million. So it's a clear, palatable buyout that they could work through, even if he doesn't take another job and never works again, and they have to pay him $5.53 million. That is not the situation they want to be in. You want to continue this defensive momentum and continue installing that well, and hopefully that can be enough to catch up with the offense, catch up with the special teams, which was pretty good for the most part last year, and they can find a way to get 7+, 8+, 9+ wins. Would be awesome to see in year 4 of a coaching tenure at Cincinnati. Speaking of year 1 of that coaching tenure, flashing back to the basketball here, Cincinnati right in the mix with some of the Blue Bloods, Neil, in terms of money that they have to spend on the transfer portal starting next week. Kentucky, Tennessee, Kansas, Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, LSU, NC State, Texas, UConn, Vanderbilt, and Cincinnati are your confirmed programs with at least a budget of $10 million for NIL. And those budgets are already confirmed to be over $10 million. So, Neil, the Ducks are in a row. They are ready to be shot down, and they're ready to be plucked clean for this roster. It is time to go after some of these top names that will be hitting the transfer portal next week. Exciting time for Bearcats basketball. It's going to be a little bit of a whirlwind, not as much of a whirlwind as football transfer portal season is, just because there's so many more transfers coming in. You're not going to have 22 transfers like you did for the football team. In basketball, there's going to be, I would imagine, 7 to 8 transfers, maybe 9 transfers coming in. We'll see what ends up happening with that number, but it may end up hitting double digits, Neil. It's going to be a fun one next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look down too, Russ, obviously new coach, no portal entries as of right now for Cincinnati. Now,
yeah, it's interesting. No one reportedly set to hit the portal yet.
Now, there might be a little bit of buzz and whatnot going out there, but as of right now, nobody has officially announced their intentions to enter the NCAA transfer portal from Wes Miller's team last year, heading into Jared Calhoun's first year. So that's going to be interesting too, Russ. Now, obviously, I'm sure we'll probably get a little bit more buzz and whatnot maybe Monday or Tuesday when these announcements come out.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting as we get closer to the portal because, Russ, let's be honest, there's bound to be maybe 1 or 2 entries. I think everybody knows that. But it's going to be interesting to see how many Bearcats does Jared Calhoun retain. Who does he bring in the transfer portal? Russ, this next week and a half, it's going to be an exciting time up there in Clifton right now, and I'm really curious to see what happens there in the Lindner Athletic Center and what Jared Calhoun is able to cook up, especially with that $10 million plus budget there in NIL.
Fun week ahead for Cincinnati Bearcats basketball fans. It's been a fun spring for the football team. I think a lot of good work happening. I like what I'm seeing from the defense. I think there's hope that they could possibly shock some people and eclipse that 7-win total that they posted last year and keep stacking improvements each year in the Scott Satterfield era. A lot of good people in that building. Would love to see them have some great success. We'll see if that plays out. As the spring ball continues, the basketball transfer portal gets hit next week, and we'll have it all covered right here on Bearcat Blitz. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
6, Ritter to the end zone, looking for Pierce. Did he hang on? Yes. Touchdown. Back as I've been around. Here he goes again. Busts. free. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Foot race. House call. Touchdown. 79 yards. Big one in the Peach Bowl. This is a big one too. And it's going to go all the way to the house on the first play